Hi.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Yeah. So why did you vote for Donald Trump?
I think many reasons. I think that each one of us has their own beliefs and what's important to them. And for me, I felt that what he was standing for was important to me, for my family. I think we needed a change. I think we needed something different.
Could you maybe name a Trump policy that you like of his?
I think the border is really, I think it was very important to have the border secured. I think that every country pretty much has it. So that's probably my main one. I think that government waste is also really important for me. I think that a lot of money is being wasted that can be allocated elsewhere to other things. For instance, I have two young children, and when I hear that there's no money for for people to cross the street, and they need $3.3 million, that hurts me. I feel that we need that money for us. We pay the taxes, we live here, so that's what it means to me.
Do you have like a specific border policy that you had mentioned that you'd like?
A specific border policy? I think, like I said, I think I'm an immigrant. I came here to this country legally. I never once stood on this ground not legally. And I think that if people want to come in, this is the land of opportunities. It's the ultimate place to live. I feel very grateful to be living here. And I think that if someone does want to come here, they should do it the legal way. I don't think that right now there is enough to help them come here legally. I think that the policy should be changed. I don't know why they never have. To make it easier for people to come, because I don't know if I could have the life that I have here anywhere else. So I think the main thing is that, building the wall for securing it for many reasons, not just for immigrants to come in, but for drugs, for many reasons.
Did you know that Donald Trump undermined a bipartisan border bill that would have built more wall than he built under his entire administration? How do you feel about that one?
Again, I didn't quite understand.
Did you know that Donald Trump undermined a bipartisan border bill? He said, blame it on me if the border bill fails, because he didn't want Democrats to get a win. And it would have built more wall than Trump ever built under his entire administration. It would have increased the amount of immigration judges. It would have capped the amount of people who can be encountered at the border on a daily basis. So why do you support Donald Trump, even though he hasn't actively acted on any of those immigration policies, right, in terms of like compromising with the other side, like when they were in office?
Yeah. I think that I think that the government is putting their foot in their way and not allowing him to do the things that he would like to do. I don't think he just says them. I think he means them on that end. And I feel that a lot of what's happening, if you look what happened to him from the time he's, declared he wanted to be president until now, what this man has gone through, I don't know if I could ever survive something like that. So I think that he's trying, but it's politics. I don't think that everything is as easy as we think it is. And I don't think that we know it all either of what's behind those closed doors. But I believe that he loves the country. I think he loves the people. And I think he'll do really well. He's got 4 years. We'll see what happens. And I want to say, I was a Democrat majority of my life, but I've also voted for different presidents throughout, again, based on what was important to me. So I'm not just a Democrat or a Republican on that end, but I really admire him for what he has done and what he has fought. He doesn't need to do this.
I have a question. Would you let someone legally immigrate into the country if they were, say, a convicted criminal, like held civilly liable of forcibly penetrating a woman's vagina against her will?
Again, make it simple for me. I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry.
Would you like ever let someone, like, if you had the ability to determine whether or not someone was allowed to legally immigrate here, if they were, like, say, a convicted felon held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman, would you let them legally immigrate into the country, or would you say no, they should not be allowed in the country because they're violent?
I believe everybody has a second chance if they can prove it and show it in that way. I think that if someone is a criminal in their own country, again, every circumstance is different. I think I really believe in women's rights, and I think that, even though I believe in Trump, I do believe in, the right for abortion on that end to a degree. Not, I think that, once the baby's fully developed, that's where I kind of draw the line on that end. But I think that if we can give someone a chance, then maybe yes. I mean, some of them, there's a reason why, if it's their past, they were abused as children or whatever it is, maybe we can help them. But if they are hardcore criminals, no, we can't have them in this country. It just puts more stress on the entire system on that end.
So anyone like held responsible by a jury for sexual abuse of a woman, you wouldn't let legally immigrate into the country?
Case by case, but no, yes. But I would still look at it case by case. I mean, if someone really wants to come here, we have to see, have to look at it. And just like anything else, I'm sure they did a background check on me and my family when we came here and who we are. But I think it's case by case. But no, if they're legally criminals or in jail, no, don't come here.
Okay, so then how do you feel that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman? So given that you have like these types of concerns for who's allowed to like come into the country legally, well then wouldn't we say that there should be harsher qualifications on who's president, on who's allowed to be president compared to who's just allowed to be a citizen? I mean, there are plenty of infants and people who are old we don't think are qualified to be president. So why would we say that there should be harsher qualifications for citizenship rather than presidency?
Great battle on that end. So I truly feel that everything that happened in the courts, to me, was a little bit of a joke. I don't believe that, well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I do believe. When you're in that kind of power, when you're in that kind of money, not that it's right, but I'm sure that many people do things that they feel that they're above, I want to say above the law, not above the law. I do believe that a lot of the convicted things that they have, it was just a hate. People that I talk to, they say they'll vote for anyone but Trump. The hate is so bad. I feel that, again, if there was someone better than him out there, I would have voted for him. If it was a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't mean to me the party, it means to me what they are. Is he perfect? Hell no, he isn't. But I really do feel that he will take this country in the right direction. I really do. Being convicted, yes, it's on paper, but I believe that a lot of it was, especially with all the financial, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Here, my point would be is just that like it seems very like un-American to like undermine the democracy, to not believe in the rule of law and the courts that held them accountable or hold them responsible. It seems pretty un-American to like say those things, or even for him to like be against freedom of speech when he says he wants to put people in prison for a year for burning the American flag, or how he says he wants to terminate all rules and regulations and articles, even those found in the Constitution, because he didn't like the election results in 2020. Didn't accept any of the courts that determined that there was no sufficient evidence to overturn the election. So seemingly like we're like going against every foundational value that is American, right? Or that we grew up believing in. So I'm like, I used to support Donald Trump. I grew up in a Christian conservative household, and I can't fathom supporting him after all of these things that he's done. And now you say like, oh, who was the other person we could have voted for? And I was like, I think Kamala Harris was someone that was better than Donald Trump. Now, I don't think Kamala Harris is perfect by any means, right? There are plenty of things I disagree with Kamala Harris on. Like, I don't agree with all of her positions. And I would probably say maybe I'm slightly to the left on her some issues, slightly to the right of her on some other issues. But my point is then, like, she doesn't, undermine the rule of law. She doesn't undermine our democratic institutions. She didn't try to undermine the Constitution. She wasn't held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman. She didn't say she would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years. She didn't say she had sex in common with his daughter, right? Or say to Howard Stern, yeah, to Howard Stern, calling his daughter a piece of ass, right? Like none of those types of things, no character issues, right? And then she had policies meant to like benefit people, like a healthcare plan, right? To expand access to healthcare through the ACA, right? $2,000 cap on people for pharmaceuticals out of pocket, $35 cap on insulin for people for everyone, not just for people on Medicare, like the Inflation Reduction Act did, or the executive order that Trump did that only did for parts of Medicare. So it's about extending access to healthcare, childcare policy, increased child tax credit, $6,000 first year, $3,600 to them 5 years old, and then $3,000 to them 18. Reduce childhood poverty, but when implemented in 2021, by literally 40 to 50%. So it's like policies that help children, right, and help out people who need healthcare. Right, those are policies I'm looking for, and Donald Trump didn't run on any of those policies.
So I truly feel that Kamala was not qualified for that position. We didn't vote for her to even run for president. She was just declared it on that end. And I believe that it was the party that pretty much ran President Biden, and I think they would be running her. I feel like they were kind of a puppet for the party, and there was people behind it that were running it, and then they just came on TV and showed it. Where Trump, he's the boss. He's the one who's talking. Again, you're right. None of them are perfect, and Kamala did have some qualities to her. And, the Democrats had 4 years, a little bit more. We'll have 4 years now with Trump. After that, we'll see what happens. It's just a good balance. But at the end of the day, I think us as people, we need to stay together, and I think we need to care and love for one another. I mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It hurts me when I see some of the anger here. I do enjoy the passion, but don't let it transfer into violence. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, I'm very much against violence myself. I think it's really important to engage in peaceful dialogue. That's why I do what I do, and I have these types of conversations, because I think it humanizes the other side, so we can have conversation.
Sure.
And so you brought up a point about qualifications. So I guess my question here would be, is who do you think was more qualified in 2016?
No, actually. I was nervous. I was very, very nervous in 2016, and I want to tell you, I actually voted for Hillary, and I did vote for her, and I thought she should have won. I mean, really, she should have won during that time. I did vote for her during that time.
So even now, you would say that you'd pick Hillary over Trump?
That's a really good question. Wow. I'm not sure. It will definitely be a battle. I would definitely need to hear them more. I did think the world of her. I thought that she would have been amazing, and it's a shame that she missed the boat, but I think she would have, if I had between Kamala and her, I think that she would have got my vote immediately on that part. Was Trump qualified? Wow, and 16.
Because I think that we'd both agree that Hillary Clinton was more qualified than Donald Trump. Yet it seems like if you base it on your policies, you wouldn't necessarily base it on the qualifications. But even secondly, I do think that Kamala Harris had more qualifications than Donald Trump. I mean, she was a vice president, a senator, a district attorney, an attorney general. She was also a prosecutor. So she has plenty of history as being a public servant for the American people. What qualifications does Donald Trump have?
Well, he had 4 years prior. So when he ran now, obviously he had 4 years of presidency on that end. But again, I felt that Kamala was not strong enough. I felt like she wasn't not enough confidence. That's what I felt, especially in the interview, some of the interviews that she had. I felt like she wasn't confident enough to run this country. I mean, and I do feel that Biden didn't do a good job. I feel that our country kind of didn't go in the right direction on that end. So I think that kind of, I think that really hurt them. I think that Biden really hurt the Democratic Party, and I think it's one of the reasons why Trump also won. Do I like the way he talks? I wish sometimes he was a little bit more reserved and a little bit quieter on that end. But at the end of the day, I really hope that he'll make good changes for us.
I guess my point would then be is that what would confidence serve as? What type of confidence would Donald Trump have that Kamala Harris wouldn't have that would make, say, Donald Trump a better leader?
So if you notice the way she was asked questions, the way she responded, it almost felt like a script. It felt like it was what I wanted to hear. Where when you spoke to Trump, or when Trump was interviewed, it was almost like he's not a politician. He was just like you and me. He wasn't perfect on the edges. He was. He said it what he thought it was, and like I said, a lot of the things that he stood for were important to me and my family, and that was the reason. And I just want to add, the reason I came here, I do listen to Mr. Kirk, I don't know what to call him. I listened to him on the radio, and I was very influenced by his drive, and I think that's the same thing that I see with Trump, the fight, if you take it into your personal experience in life and never give up, it's something that I want to teach my kids. I want them to be able to, if it's sports, fight until the end. Doesn't matter if it's 3 seconds left on the clock. Go for it. I didn't get that from Kamala Harris at all, and I felt that she's just not. She was just going to be there because she wanted to have the title.
I mean, I think I want to address your point, kind of like where you said, like, Kamala Harris just told us like what we wanted to hear, and Donald Trump told us like what it really is. And I think that I see it a lot differently than you do, because Donald Trump brought up like he's going to lower prices, which we all know is not possible because tariffs increase prices, and he just implemented them yesterday, right, or 2 days ago. And then also like he brought up no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. And I think a lot of those things aren't even feasible. Like no tax on Social Security would mean that Social Security within 5 years insolvent. So you either have to increase the age of retirement, or you'd have a huge deficit that's coming from that. And that's also another issue that I had, and something that you brought up earlier in terms of waste. Donald Trump actually signed off on $4 trillion more debt-related spending than the Biden-Harris administration signed into law, so like what he affected. And then for the campaign plans for the next administration, the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, which is a nonpartisan/bipartisan committee from the federal government, indicated to be another $4 trillion than Kamala Harris's plans. So it seems like Donald Trump, even though he puts DOGE in place or is trying to reduce waste in that respect, is actually increasing the level of waste. Right, because a lot of those are going to tax cuts to people who are wealthy and rich, who are already doing well in this country, already doing great. And I think that we both agree that people who need help in this country aren't the rich and wealthy. It's the everyday average working Americans that need a little bit of help, right, for their health care, their child care, housing affordability, right? And Donald Trump, again, didn't run on any of those policies. He had concepts of a plan for health care. He didn't have a child care policy, didn't have a housing affordability policy, didn't have a policy to lower prices. It was kind of just like these platitudes like drill, baby, drill, right? Or fight, right? And like, although those things like seem American or they seem great, I don't think are actual plans that the American people can rely on to better their conditions for their children.
So if I go back the last 4 years, they were horrible. And the inflation and everything that's going on, I think if it comes down to business, and it's something that my mom always told me, you'll need to trust someone someday. We had two options: either continue with what we had the last 4 years or try something different. Is there a guarantee? No, absolutely not. Do I think that the world will be America will be a better place, and I think the world will be a better place? I do. I think that the policies you're talking about regarding financial and so on and so forth, listen, he's probably going to go down as one of the best businessmen ever. I believe that with time, everything that's going on, he'll make it work. I hope. I really hope, because if not, we're doomed. I mean, this is America. I mean, this is the land of opportunities. This is the strongest nation in the world. This is the nation that everybody wants to live in. I mean, you go today and you tell anyone, free citizenship, come to America. I guarantee you 80% will come. I mean, come on, look at this, saying that, you're right, but I do believe that he's going to prove us wrong. Hopefully, if the government will work together and the Democrats will work together. Just watching the speech the other day, where they were just the hatred that they had, it really reflects on us. We see that hatred, and then people that are on each side take that hate. And I wish we can be better. I wish we can all be better. I wish both sides can be better. Yeah, I'm not just saying the Republicans, they're not perfect at all, but I hope they will. But I do believe that he won't let people die in the streets. He won't. I think he'll find ways to make it work. And I think with everything that's going on with Canada and Mexico, I think at the end it'll be a payback to us. I think that we're going to do well. Even the deals that he's making with Ukraine, with all the minerals, I think that is a really good deal, because for them to pay back their grant, they can't. And this is a way to pay back on that end, and for us to have interest in the country so nobody will touch it. Because now America has their hands on those minerals, which are very important, which takes us away from possibly are, fighting with China or buying everything from China on that end, and then being more independent. So
I guess my question is, how's that any different from NATO joining or Ukraine joining NATO? Because it would, cause, if there's any type of an attack on Ukraine, it would cause like a defense with NATO. So then my question is, that doesn't really give Ukraine long-term stability, that they're not going to be invaded by Russia, but yet still has like the same issues of, it might cause World War III because US is in this particular land. So, I mean, wouldn't you just say that like Trump should just cave in on saying that like Ukraine should then just be a part of NATO to ensure that they won't be invaded by Russia like they have in the past?
that is a really, really good question. That is a tough one. That is another really tough question. I do believe that Ukraine has the right to, but I'm also wondering if there's something that we can agree on with Russia, that some kind of a deal that can be made between all the countries that Russia will stay away. I think that eventually Ukraine should be part of NATO. I do. And it's going to be a very difficult, very, very difficult task, especially with Putin and everything that's going on and, his attitude and his character. But I don't have an answer for that.